What's happening, ITP? I'm out here at the Fort Worth Stockyards, and tonight we're going to take a look into the haunted history surrounding the Fort Worth Stockyards. So be sure to join me as we take another look
into the paranormal.
So before we get started, if you're new to this channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell down below to get notified when I post my next video. Also, if you like this video and all the others, be sure to give it a like. Now let's get started. Before we get started, if you see anything in these videos, be sure to leave a comment down below and let me know. Now, downtown Fort Worth is known as Hell's Half Acre, but the Stockyards were not without their share of gunfights and trouble. Behind me is Saunders Park. As you can see, the river's flowing pretty quickly because of the rain we've had lately. But back in the 1800s, 1900s, late 1800s, early 1900s, disputes were handled with gunfire, and it is said that when somebody was dying or was dead, their body was tossed into the river down below. Now, reports are that some of those bones still exist down there in Saunders Park. So behind me sits the Armour Swift building, but it didn't always look like that. From the 1900s to the 1970s, the building housed the Swift and Company meatpacking firm. But in the 1970s, the building was destroyed by arson, and the residual fat that was left inside took over a month to be put out. Since it was rebuilt, the building housed the spaghetti warehouse, but closed down due to it not being able to keep staff. Silverware would go flying, things would be moved, strange noises, creepy feelings, all that. It now houses a power company. So you might ask, why is it haunted? What could be haunting it? Well, I have not found anything on why it's haunted, but due to the stockyards and the history of them, it could be just because of what sat there before, or what happened there before, like gunfights and stuff like that. So behind me sits the Fort Worth Stock Exchange, and is the next haunted location on the stop in this video. Now, when I say stock exchange, I don't mean the New York Stock Exchange type of building. I'm talking about livestock exchange, where livestock were traded and sold and bought. So why is this building haunted? Well, as you can see from this, trying to figure out, but this part of the building right behind me, especially that window right there, is where the haunting happens. Now, in the early 1900s, there's a couple of stories about this, but a man had his daughter follow him to work, and the other is his wife was bringing him lunch and brought the daughter along. Well, of course, he did not know what to do with her, so he let her wander around, chasing around stray cats. And of course, that wasn't uncommon back in those days. So at the end of the day, they searched for her, and there was no sign of her. Well, of course, this building right back here housed 4 different vaults, so thick that no sound can get out. There are 2 downstairs and 2 upstairs. We're going to be talking about the one upstairs in these windows right here. And when they searched for her at the end of the night and could not find her, they ended up coming back the next morning, where an employee found the little girl inside one of those vaults, inside the upstairs. She had suffocated from being inside there. She was locked inside by an employee inadvertently. Now, it's said that her handprints can be seen inside that window in the early mornings, or her peeking out and employees have reported seeing her running around trying to get other people's attention. Now, the building hosts another spirit of a prostitute when prostitution was a legal profession. Now, it's unclear whether she was murdered here or she was murdered somewhere else and her body was dumped here. But her rose scent perfume smell is known, that she was known for, people can still smell on tours. So behind me sits the Stockyards Exchange Building Rodeo Arena. Now, the building has hosted rodeos since 1908, and of course there's a rodeo going on right now behind the building. But the building is a hotbed for paranormal activity, with reports of a phantom black horse that runs around the arena. And of course, since it has hosted rodeo since 1908, rodeo has been a very dangerous sport, and many have lost their lives due to that sport and their performances. Now, people have seen old deceased cowboys in old-time clothing, and there have been EVPs that have been recorded that have heard a voice saying cow, 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 and pig, pig, pig. Also seen in this building is the spirit of Quanon Parker, the first Native American to ride in a rodeo.
So what you see here is a picture of the Stockyard Hotel, which was built in 1910 and was the crown jewel of a hotel, attracting rich oil tycoons and such people as Bonnie and Clyde have reportedly stayed in room 305. Now, the Stockyards Hotel has its share of ghostly sightings. It has a full-bodied apparition named Jesse. He's a cowboy who couldn't have afforded to stay in the Stockyards at the time. People speculate that he just wanted to stay there in the afterlife. Visitors have reported hearing his spurs jingle as he walks through the halls, or see him, but never interacts with anyone. People have also felt the presence of a former employee named Jake. He was a messenger from the 1900s, and he loved his job of 30 to 40 years. Visitors have reported feeling hot and cold spots, and some of his physical duties are still taken care of. If a guest leaves their room unlocked, it will be locked when they return. Also, for the last 30 plus years, the phone rings after hours. No one is there and the call cannot be traced, put on hold, or transferred. So tell me what you think in the comments below, and if you've ever stayed here, tell me that also. So the next picture you see is of the Love Shack restaurant. Now, it also has a connection to the Stockyards Hotel. Over 10 years ago, an Australian couple was vacationing in the Stockyards and staying in the hotel. They had been having a wonderful time and seemed to be very happy. One early morning, the man woke up his fiancée very energized and agitated, and said he had something to show her. She followed him across the street to the closed restaurant, where he climbed to the second floor and threw himself off of the balcony head first, dying instantly. She later said she had felt some evil force had inhabited her lover. So tell me what you think in the comments below, and do you think this was a cause of what happened in the Stockyards back in the Wild West days? So the next location is that of Risky's Steakhouse. Now, this place sits not too far from the Stockyards Hotel and the Love Shack. Now, the hauntings go back all the way to the late 1800s, early 1900s, when it was a brothel on the upper floors. And it was a high-class brothel at that, the most expensive. The last member of the Risky family is very embarrassed about the brothel and won't let people go up there. She threw everything away, but one red rocker owned by the madam, which mysteriously reappeared in the building. The bells that signal the men that their time was up are still there and working. Now, at one time, the windows where the women would stand to attract customers were boarded up because people kept seeing apparitions of working women standing and posing in them. As you can see in the photo, they are no longer boarded up. If you see anything in the picture, be sure to leave a comment down below and let me know. So the next location in haunted Fort Worth Stockyards is Miss Molly's Bed and Breakfast. Now, Molly is actually the name of the lead cow in the simulated cattle drive, which happens daily in the Stockyards and is the mascot of Fort Worth. Now, the actual madam was Miss Josie. The place was a speakeasy until the 1930s, then became a low-end brothel. Now, of course, the girls in that brothel were actually 11 to 15 years old. Most girls were orphans or runaways. Now, Miss Josie was very abusive. She didn't take any guff from the male customers and was known to throw them out on the street. She was very obese and ill-tempered. The girls had huge quotas, and if they didn't meet them or they talked back, Josie would lock them in the closet without food, water, or facilities as long as she felt they needed. Girls were very competitive and would poison each other's food and lotion, resulting in some violent illnesses and death. Miss Josie also had a daughter, which the father was unknown, who she abused terribly. When the little girl was 8 years old, she disappeared. Everyone thought Josie had killed her, but it was never investigated. One time, a little girl on a ghost tour had her hair pulled and said that Mary was messing with her. No one had told the little girl that Josie's daughter was named Mary. The owner keeps toys for Mary that no one else is allowed to play with, and the playthings move around. Now, Josie's room and the cowboy's room are the most haunted in this bed and breakfast. Men have their shoulders rubbed or their heads patted, but women report feeling very unwelcome and watched. Now, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Josie killed her daughter and her spirit's still there? Do you think Josie's spirit's still there? And possibly some of the spirits of the girls who work there. So just a couple of doors down from Miss Molly's Bed and Breakfast is the Longhorn Saloon. Now, of course, all this happened back in the Wild West days. 3 cowboys had stopped to drink, boys between 15 and 17. They got drunk and got back on what they thought were their horses. The men whose horses they stole confronted them, and the boys were hanged in the saloon. Now, women in the ladies' bathroom have reported having their legs tugged and feeling like they're being watched. So tell me, do you think those boys still haunt that location since they were hung in the location? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. So the last place in this video is that of the Cowtown Winery, which hosts 90-minute walking ghost tours. Now, the Cowtown Winery has its share of ghostly sightings as well. The paranormal team that works the Stockyards swept the building and found just as much activity as Miss Molly's. It used to be a Chinese laundromat with a family living above. People feel the presence of a young boy. A medium said he was killed by an abusive parent who kept him in a cupboard behind the bar. There is an old-fashioned sock monkey doll that no one admits to having brought in. It will disappear for days, then reappear in odd places. Another presence is also felt. Wine is spilled during the night, crackers are spilled, and cases toppled over. The motion detector is never tripped. People hear glass breaking and rush in, but nothing is broken. So tell me what you think of this location down in the comments below. Also, if you would like to go on one of those walking ghost tours, be sure to check out a link down in the description below.
So if you like this video, be sure to give it a like, and also please be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell down below to get notified when I post my next video. Until next time, I shall see you on the dark side.